My name is Alden Olmsted. When I was 19 years old, I dropped out of college to start a BMX bike company that ultimately failed. And I never forgave myself. BMX. It stands for Bicycle Motocross. It started in the 1970s when kids in Southern California outfitted their Schwinn Stingrays to mimic their motorcycle heroes. Community. A group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. I had one, but not the other. I grew up in Northern California, in Sonoma, small town of about 6,000 people, classic old wine country town. Grew up with a single mom, one brother. My father had left a few years earlier to go save California state parks and do some kind of amazing things that I would find out about later. But as a kid, what I knew was I didn't have a dad. I think not having a father around for me added to the feeling of not feeling normal, a rebellious, challenging child, a lot of tough times of feeling very alone. I assumed it was me against the world. No one was going to help me. My mom loved me, put food on the table. She didn't have the bandwidth, I think, to go further, to encourage me. Whatever I was going to do, succeed or fail, was going to be on my own. My first BMX experience actually comes back to my dad a little bit because he did visit every couple years. He showed up on this one birthday and he said, "We're gonna get you a bike." We went to all these yard sales all over Sonoma and Napa trying to find the right bike, one we could afford. We finally found this bike that was kind of goofy looking and my dad bought it for me. I don't know if I loved it, but I loved spending the day with my dad. And spending the day with my dad to find the bike was a pretty big deal. And that was like this big moment. I felt kind of normal because I finally had a cool bike. As soon as I could ride, my world was expanded. And that freedom of being on a bike, challenging yourself and succeeding, I think is why BMX is still popular. I do remember getting into the BMX world via the magazines. It was like your telephone line to what's going on in the outside world. And I started noticing which bikes were better than other bikes. I remember I was finally big enough to jump. When you first catch air on your own bike, your own power, you just feel amazing. You just feel like you could go do anything. I would be out till the streetlights went off, hours practicing all up and down the block. All of a sudden I had something that I had and nobody could take away. When I was a freshman in college, and I started to put two and two together and think I might actually drop out and start this BMX bike company, I had no idea what to do. Who do I ask? Who do I talk to? I didn't want to talk to my mom because she was already upset, and my friends had stopped riding bikes. So I wrote a letter to Bob Haro, kind of my hero of the BMX freestyle world. He was a guru. He kind of invented freestyle BMX, the trick riding part. He had created something from nothing. And I really respected that. There was a clear style to a Haro bike, the Haro team. So Bob Haro, I really felt was kind of like the Steve Jobs of BMX. And then he wrote me back. In the letter, he said I could call him back. So I did. He definitely told me, I'm not saying you should drop out of college, but he said if you want to make bikes, you can try Cyclecraft. Well, I already knew who Cyclecraft was because they made good bikes. So they were very popular. They had their own team, and a lot of the pros raced for Cyclecraft. They were a very good company. And when Bob told me, maybe they'll weld bikes for you. So I looked up who the owner was. His name was Joe Martino. We initially had a great rapport. I didn't know him in any other way other than that he was the guy that was going to make my bikes. My mom was not supportive of my dropping out of college to start a bike company. My mom grew up in a very traditional household. You do not drop out of college for any reason. But at the time, this was in my gut. This was like a huge burning passion to start this company on my own. And I saw no other way. Eliminating the flex in the frame is the goal of the bike builder if you're building a racing bike. What made Homestead Bicycles unique was a twin tube stabilizer bar that stiffened the rear triangle. So when kids are racing, they're on this thing called a gate, and there's 8 of them across. The gate slams down and everyone tears off, and they're trying to get to that first turn the fastest they can because they don't want to get stuck in this crowd of kids. So at the time, I wasn't sure it was going to work. The other thing that made the bike unique was that I painted them all green and named it after a lizard from South America. I sponsored a kid. I went to the races. I handed out stickers. I printed flyers. I made t-shirts. I tried to do everything, but I didn't feel like an equal to the other companies because, again, they had the one thing I didn't have. They had community. I tried to find business partners and investors during the time when I ran Homestead Bicycles.
Homestead Bicycles.
It was hard to convince people of this vision if they weren't bike riders, so I wasn't able to find the right person. But it did confirm my feeling I had from being little of it's just me against the world. The best shot I had with Homestead Bicycles was right at the end. This guy, Ken, that owned a shop in the Santa Cruz Mountains, he was excited about my bikes, he loved them. He wanted his whole team to be exclusively Homestead Bicycles racing team. I'm like, this is it. And I called Joe Martino. No answer. And I called back the next day. No answer. It took a couple months to get a hold of him. Finally, he answers the phone kind of sheepishly, and I ask him, hey Joe, I got 20 more frames coming. I had paid for 50, I had 30. And he kind of waffles and says, oh, I don't know how to tell you this, Alden, but I'm retired. And I said, what about my bikes? I'm sure they got welded, they're at the shop, just mail them. And he just said, and I said, what do you mean? That's $1,800, 90 bucks a frame times 20 bikes is $1,800, big deal back then. The closest I came to feeling like a real company, it all went out because I couldn't provide any more bikes. I woke up one day and I thought, if I stop, who's gonna ask me to start it again? And I thought, no one is. This is all on me. If I stop it, it stops. So I let it go. My life right now is kind of rough. although it's carefree, I guess, is the positive way, but it's tough. I've been bouncing around since my dad passed away. Life has been a challenge to remain positive. Getting older and being a dishwasher or doing odd jobs is obviously not what I wanted to be doing at this age. I think it's been difficult for me to maintain a stable financial life because I just have too many dreams. I have too many things I want to create. I've thought about it as a curse a lot. People say, oh, that's so great what you do. You have these things you create. Why can't I just focus on one thing? Why can't I do a day job? I don't know. Why do I need to be fulfilled, to do something that I'm pouring myself into? My dad poured his own life and my mom's life and my brother's life and my life. He poured everyone's life into his work. Is that what I'm taking after? I never wanted to be anything like my dad. I've made a couple films, going back to college and doing what I had quit on. I've done some state park work, things I can hang my hat on, but where does it get me?
I can admit it now. I had been in a king-sized funk since my father died, and it took a serious blast from the past to snap me out of it. That slap in the face came in the form of an email from a friend I hadn't spoken to in years, and a curious link to a BMX collector's website.
The whole thing that started this documentary was this one kid that posted a bike on a website called BMX Museum. And he put it out there because he didn't know what kind of bike it was. No stickers on it, but it was one of mine. But when I looked closely, there was a different dropout, and I noticed that that was a Cyclecraft dropout on a Homestead bike. The dropout is the rear part that the wheel slides into.
What the heck was a Homestead bicycle frame doing on this website? I drew those dropouts so I knew what mine looked like. Did the last 20 bikes I paid for actually get welded but just never shipped? Had Joe Martino at Cyclecraft sold them after I quit Homestead and just pocketed the money for those 20 frame and fork sets? Then I started wondering about the 30 bikes I did get. I wondered how many were still out there. Was anyone still riding one? With nothing holding me in LA, I decided I had to know. And maybe I'd find out where I went wrong with Homestead and what I got right. And just maybe I could find out what happened to my life by finding those missing bikes. I always get depressed going to my storage unit, seeing proof that my life is still in transition. But I knew I kept one file folder and I knew there were a few receipts. I don't remember writing down serial numbers, but maybe there's the name of a shop or name of a kid, anyone who bought a Homestead. I knew my own bike would be in there and I wanted to verify which serial number it had.
Oh boy. Here we have serial number. Let's check it. Wow. Serial number 001. Oh, man. So I know I had a Homestead bicycle file. No, that's not it. That's not it. Let me try one more. Homestead Bicycles. Wow. So there's my fictitious business name statement, doing business as Homestead Bicycles. After I ran one ad in BMX Action magazine, it was called Go at the time,
I got letters from all over the world. Airmail from Germany, I think. Homestead Bicycles, this kid wrote me, I think from, oh my gosh, I think from Czechoslovakia. There's Fairview, Alberta, Canada, just from one ad placed in BMX Action magazine. This is the power of that magazine at the time. So this is a picture of the basilisk lizard the paint was based off of, the green with the blue specks. That's my first drawing back in high school of a basilisk. So there might be some receipts from bike shops that bought the bikes. This is the first receipt, Moby Dick's Bike Shop, one bicycle frame, Santa Clara, California, Homestead Road, oddly enough. Sweet. Here's another one, sold to the pedal pusher. There's another receipt, a good lead. This one is April 20th, 1993, on consignment, Homestead Frame and Fork. Oh, there we go. This is it. That's a good piece of proof. 50 bikes from Cyclecraft, Homestead Frame and Forks. Oh, yes. Haro Designs. This is where this whole thing started. Maybe I need to track down Bob Haro and see if he remembers this letter. When I'm telling you I had nothing to lose, I'm saying I had nothing. So I headed up the coast to the exact spot where the last homestead was sold, to track down the last guy to sell one. Is this Ken Kingsley?
It is.
Hey, this is Alden Olmsted, man. I know it's been a long time. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, and you?
I'm doing good. It's like 23 years, man.
It seems like it's forever, huh?
I'm actually trying to track down these 30 bikes.
Yeah, I actually got your message. I put some names together for you.
Oh my gosh, okay. It turns out I'm gonna actually be up in Felton, Scotts Valley. I don't know if it's too much for you to come over the hill and meet me.
Yeah, no problem.
The last place that I sold bikes at and worked at was a bike shop on Highway 9 in Felton, California. So I haven't talked to Ken or even thought about him in 23 years. Did you ever think we'd be here in this position?
Not really.
Did you ever think you'd see me again?
Probably not.
That was my big moment of you saying, hey, I love these bikes are cool. Let's outfit our whole team with Homestead Bicycles.
We did.
I can't believe you remember names. So should I write them down? Or
No, I got a list for you.
Oh, you got a list?
Yeah. I don't know if you remember any of them or not, but we got Shane Ellett.
Shane Ellett.
Yeah, he's in Boulder Creek. Shad Stephen, I think, is in Boulder Creek.
Shad, I do remember. Shad was the kid that would ride with me down at Henry Cowell, I think.
Yep.
It came riding once or
Yep.
twice.
And then there's Amber Howard, which is our only girl rider, which actually rode one of your frames.
A girl rider?
Yep. She actually did very well racing too.
Really?
Yeah.
I did
and
not.
then we had Nate Escoto, which was one of our senior
remember.
riders. He was probably around 22 then. Just got out of the military.
Ken was pretty sure Nate was still around and that I might find him at a pump track south of Santa Cruz. Dude, no way, man.
Fancy meeting you here.
How you doing, man? Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
Sheesh. How long's it been? 23 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Dude, it's good to see you're still riding, man.
Thank you. We were introduced at Ken's shop in Felton, California.
Yeah.
And that's when I first saw the Homestead bike. I thought it was pretty cool. You had told me about this was your baby and your project, and you were putting together a racing team, and you and Ken had invited me in a joint venture to join your team.
Yeah.
And off we went. We toured all over the country with your bike. I raced it in Arizona, Nevada, all over Southern California, Oklahoma, at the Grand Nationals.
At the Grand Nationals, you raced a Homestead?
You're right.
I had no idea.
Yeah. It handled well in turns, was good in traffic, zippy little ride. I liked it.
Where did your racing lead after that?
I just reached a point where I just had enough of racing. I've been racing my bike since I was 13 years old. Walked into Ken's shop and I gave my bike to my good friend Shane Ellett, who raced on our team. He was a younger kid, and I handed my my Homestead to the young gun.
Do you think Shane still lives in the area, Ben
Pretty
Lomond?
sure he does. I think he's an electrician now.
I remember you.
I'm sorry, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't remember you. I'm glad for everyone's memory because Ken has got a great memory. He gave me these 5 names. Apparently, you got a great memory.
Yeah.
Do you
want
mind if I
sit down?
Yeah. So when did you know that I had my own company?
Well, right from the beginning, you had I think 3 bikes. It was promised that 20 more were coming, or
So you remember that too?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
When they came, I got one.
Yeah.
I rode it for about 3 years. I won 17 races in a row on it.
What was cool about it? Why did you like it if you rode it that long?
It was a fast bike. When you would put the pedal down, the power would go right into the bike.
Into the ground,
It was
yeah.
snappy and fast.
Wow. Let's talk about your bike. And where is it now? And I'm hoping you have it still.
I do not.
You don't have the bike.
No. It came all this way. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Do you know what happened to it?
It went to somebody else on the team.
Yeah. And do you remember who else was on the team?
A girl, Amber.
Okay.
Hi, this is Amber.
Hello, Amber. My name is Alden Olmsted, and I got your number from Ken Kingsley. I made a bike called Homestead Bicycles that I think you may have ridden.
Yes, I did ride a Homestead.
You did ride a Homestead, okay.
I did, yeah.
Awesome. Do you mind if I stop by and ask you questions about the bike?
Yeah, that's totally no problem.
The story just keeps getting more interesting. I didn't know that Ken had any girls on the bike shop team, so that's pretty awesome. This is an angle that I did not expect. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Amber.
Hey, hi Alden.
Alden. Nice to meet you.
you.
Wow. Did you know your mom was a BMX racer? You didn't? Well, you're about to find out
Yeah.
how awesome she was.
That was the first bike that I was on that really kind of awakened this like love of biking and just being on a bike in me. I just loved it. Just adorable little green
Yeah.
bike, and Ken told me about it. I joined the bike team and he said, you know what? He's like, you're pretty fast. I think I have a good bike for you. And so he showed me this cute little green bike, and it was called a Homestead, and I got on that, and I remember it felt like it just fit me perfectly, and I loved it.
What was it like to get on that starting gate and actually race?
It was super intimidating, but I decided to go for it anyway. So I got up on the gate and had my little bike. I think that's why I got so attached to it. It was my comfort. I was comfortable on the bike, so I felt the confidence to just go for it and try it out.
I just took for granted all these years that, my bikes just came and went, not even a chapter in BMX, just a half a page.
Yeah.
To hear from people that are complete strangers
Yeah.
that I never even knew,
Yeah.
to think of like a girl being confident like on one of my bikes
Yeah.
it's just bizarre. I guess let's get to the nitty gritty,
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I'm here. So
Yeah.
the film is called 30 Bikes. And so I want to know which one you have. Like, do you have any idea of your serial number? Or
Oh my gosh, I wish I had it. I don't have the bike anymore.
You don't have the bike?
No.
I was disappointed that Amber didn't have her bike. But being so close to Santa Cruz, I had to go see if there were any bikes at Camp Maymac. Man, this just used to be so manicured. I'd water it every day. The Homestead Bicycles was a part of this track. The kids would come up here and they'd say, oh, there's a new guy running the track. And then someone would say, yeah, he makes his own bikes. And I remember kids asking me, where can I buy one? And they were good kids. We had a lot of fun. This is the bike shed. This is where we housed all the bikes for the kids to ride.
Wow. The memories are coming back. Just being in here is pretty amazing. I'm hoping I find something. Let's see what we got. We got Diamondbacks. Diamondback. We got GTs, Diamondback. What is that? Nope. Shoot. There might just be one frame. Sitting. No. Nope. Back to the drawing board, huh? Man, it's not looking good for one missing homestead.
I was getting ahead of myself visiting Camp Maymac without tracking down the guy who gave me the job, Neil Sunblatt.
Neil the Wheel. Dude, it's been a long time, man. Wow.
It's awesome.
How you doing?
Great.
Yeah. The last time we met was on the starting gate at Santa Clara Powell BMX track.
Exactly.
You remember that?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you ever think we'd be meeting like this?
God does mysterious things.
So how'd you get the name Neil the Wheel?
I tended to take your wheel. In the turn, I would T-bone you or give you the elbow, and they gave me the nickname Neil the Wheel because you never know where I was coming from on the turn.
I kind of got to start and say thank you
Yeah.
because, you know, if you wouldn't have met me and offered me the job at Maymac,
Yeah.
then I never would have met Ken Kingsley.
Yeah.
I never would have sold my bikes
Yeah.
in Felton and Santa Cruz and
All over.
had kind of a second life with the bike company.
That's great.
So it's pretty crazy how it all worked out. I got to ask you, why me?
Because I was looking for a Christian that loved God and wanted to work with kids.
I know, but you only knew me for 5 minutes when you offered me the job.
I already prayed about it. I knew God was sending someone. And I
So-
was desperate too. Because I didn't want, the thing to end. We needed someone that knew how to do BMX and jump and ride and show the kids the way.
I went down to a local coffee shop to research a name Shane had given me, Logan Alexander. I found him on Facebook, and turns out he's actually only about 20 minutes away.
Hey, morning.
Hey, you're Logan?
Yep.
Logan
What's up,
Alexander.
Alden? That's right.
No way.
How's it going?
Shane, good. Shane gave me
You got your list?
your name. I got my list, so I'm just making sure you're the right.
Yep, that's me.
So you knew Shane?
Oh yeah, I knew Shane. Yeah,
Okay.
we used to race and ride BMX for sure.
Well, man, you know the big question. Shane gave me this short list. Do you still have your homestead?
There it is.
You got it.
Yeah.
Dude. Oh,
The old girl.
one of the chrome ones.
Yeah, I picked out the first chrome one actually.
I
Yeah.
remember now.
Look at this
Yes.
bad boy. Yeah.
Dude, that is so sweet. I can't believe it. Look, 23. I didn't know what it was going to feel like to find these bikes. I really didn't. But it's kind of like finding a child. This is well worn, man.
Yeah,
You got
it's
some
seen
use.
some use.
got
It might
some-
be a little bit bent, but
It's all right.
it still looks good.
Do you ever remember riding around and people going, what kind of bike is that, man?
Yeah, actually, I remember I was at PAL one time and some kid saw me. He's like, "Is that a Homestead?" I was like, "Yeah. How'd you know?" He's like, "Oh, I've heard about them." It was lightweight. I remember that. I think my bike weighed like 23, 24 pounds, so that was really nice. I think I was able to bunny hop like 33 inches back then.
Wow.
Could not do that anymore, you know.
I wanted something that had some character, some soul.
Definitely unique frame, unique look, unique following, semi-cult following, people knew about him, and mystical sort of thing to have that appeared once in a while. To have a homestead was sort of a special thing.
I figured it was time to go back to where I grew up, the little wine country town of Sonoma, and follow up on a consignment receipt I found in my files for the Good Times Bicycle Company. It was the only bike shop in town growing up. Maybe the guy who ran it, Doug McKesson, would have a record of who he sold that first bike to.
You couldn't have scripted it better, man. The bike is still on the side. It's worn. It looks like it's maybe as old as my bike company. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Wow.
I don't remember you being that tall.
Yeah. I was just a little squirt when I was here, huh? You got my phone calls, so you know I'm trying to track down these 30 bikes. That's serial number 2 right on my car there.
Cool.
So that was, the one that you would have had was green. Towards the end of the run, I had a few of them chromed, and I just never got stickers for the chrome ones, but
it's very cool.
it was a cool bike, though.
Yeah.
Just have some kid in the neighborhood have the chutzpah to kind of come along and actually design something that was cool, and then follow through and have it done was really neat. So didn't buy it from me, but I put it on consignment for you.
Okay. You don't remember specifically it selling?
I don't.
And I'm gonna guess you don't have receipts in this box?
No, all gone.
Okay. But as far as my brand and my unique thing, you think I started something that maybe I could restart?
I think people are into something different. A certain part of the nostalgia sells, but if it really functions and it works, then you can bring it into the market today and be something unique.
I mean, I guess if I relaunched Homestead Bicycles today, it would be having a second chance at my first big dream in life.
You've got the perseverance, you had it back then, which is kind of the neat part of the whole thing, and here you are again coming around at it. I think that's what it's about. It's just sticking with it, and you have something unique, and it'll sell if you get the word out.
So I'm looking for all 30 bikes.
I have one.
You do actually have a bike?
Yes.
Oh, sweet. You got, ooh.
Yeah, it's got a little purple marks.
This needs some paint job, man.
Yeah, it does.
That's nice, though. What number? Oh, number 12. All right, number 12. Found another one. Why did you want a Homestead?
Well, knowing the founder of Homestead Bicycles had something to do with it.
These Homestead designs are still out there, and this is not the first person I've heard from that still has their sweatshirt or their t-shirt, so this is pretty awesome to see. So Homestead Bicycles went from roughly 1991 to 1995. You're telling me that you would like to see Homestead Bicycles 2019?
Definitely.
My biggest fear, if I were to relaunch Homestead Bicycles today, would be just of failing all over again. Falling into the rut or the traps that I fell into before. Now I think I would embrace the niche and go for it and go all in.
So where are you headed next?
The kid that I sponsored it from Auburn, he lives in Eureka now, and he just found me on Instagram. When I met Neil, my first and only Homestead sponsored rider, I knew I needed a good rider, but I knew I couldn't afford much in the way of a pro rider. So I probably had to find a kid that was 15, 16, just about to turn expert. So I remember I called him up and I said, hey Neil, if you're up for it, I would like you to be the Homestead Bicycle factory rider. Hello. You're Neil Scadden. Dude, what? I don't even know what to say, man. What's up, man? Sheesh. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. There's a few things that happened. Your finding me on Instagram was one of the things that got the wheels in motion. Think about maybe it was time to tell this story, that I left something on the table. Right. When I closed down the shop, the company, maybe I left something there. We're here for two reasons. Right. Well, one of the things we're here for is, do you have a homestead still?
Yes, I do.
All right. Because I've been meeting people that have these great stories.
Right.
They're excited about the bikes, they love the bikes, but mysteriously moved or gave it to someone. So
I still have it. I don't have it here.
Okay.
But I still have it, and it's
still have it.
It's 019.
019. All right. Well, okay, I got to get my book.
Yeah.
We'll write it down before we leave. You thought we had reality before. This is reality, because you're going to see Old Man BMX. All right. It's rock, man. Now with the camera on, I just got to get used to driving.
showed up and gave me this brand new frame, and everybody's like, "Where'd you get that?" And they were just like patting me on the back.
I remember your friends seemed to be impressed, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Dude, you just got some guy shows up and gives you a frame," and
It was great. I mean, a couple races in, and I was in the magazines and stuff.
He was ready to go. He was all in, and he was exactly the kind of kid that I wanted.
I don't know, what did that do for you confidence-wise, or how did that make you feel or ride different?
Riding for Homestead let me travel to more places to further my riding. It kind of showed my parents that it was more than just a passing fad.
What happened? Did we just kind of fade away? Did you stop racing? Did you call me? Did I call and say I can't sponsor you anymore? I don't remember.
You called me in 93 or 94 and offered to give me a whole nother bike and everything. Come racing for you some more. I actually turned you down because I was like, at that point, I thought I was done with riding bikes. It's time to get a job and a car and do all this different stuff.
And where are you now?
Yeah, at 44, I'm back riding bikes.
And back riding bikes,
Yeah.
running a skate park. Well, good to see you, man.
Good to see
Glad
you.
we reconnected. I don't think this is the end. It's been a while since I've been out here.
It has been a while. How you doing?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
So you got my message.
I did.
You heard him trying to track down the bikes?
Oh, yeah. The boys put a tire on it.
Oh, sweet.
I told you they were wanting to put it back together.
Nice. Sweet. Phew. Wow. Well, another bike found.
021, right?
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, on this journey, people have been asking me, and it started at the first person we interviewed.
Okay.
Said, "Are you making more bikes?"
Yeah. Well, I want to know.
And I said, "Well, I didn't plan on it, but it's looking like that's how things are going."
Yeah.
If I make more bikes today, I don't want to just make bikes to say, "Oh, I did Homestead right." I need something that changes my life. Because I'll be honest, I don't like my life right now. So if I didn't know there was this demand and I didn't know people liked the bikes as much as they did, that sounds silly to say.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know.
It's a classic, man. I'll never get rid of mine.
What's up, man? What do you remember about the beginnings of Homestead Bicycles for you?
First off, you were the coolest guy in the world to me when I was 16. It was very exciting to be there, like, with you in it.
Other than knowing the creator, what was different to you about the Homestead?
Having a cool bike that I loved to ride and was original and was unique, that was it. That was enough for me.
Here's a big question. This is why we're here. Where is the bike now?
The bike ended up at my dad's house, right? You know, down in the garage. And my dad may have taken it to a recycle center.
Oh, man. Do we remember at all what serial number that was?
I don't.
Do you remember telling me it was maybe time to put the company down?
At that time, it felt like maybe you've taken this as far as it can go. I felt like you needed to grow beyond it.
Yeah, I mean, that probably was the truth at the time. Do you realize that that conversation we had was what caused me to think that maybe it was time to put down Homestead Bicycles?
Did that feel like defeat?
At the time, you telling me to put Homestead down or to let it go felt like relief.
Who's to say that you shouldn't spend your life pursuing the things that you're passionate about?
Yeah, there's a lot of truth there. Any of those kids that rode at camp, do you know any kids that might have a Homestead today?
I believe it was the summer after you were at Maymac. You and I built the BMX track at Mount Gilead. I think there were probably 6 in that shed.
Wow, man, I definitely don't remember this.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
We put that up a number of years ago for all of our campers.
Now, do you remember if there are any homesteads in the shed?
I'm not sure. I don't know how to identify an homestead, so...
Well, then this will be a good opportunity.
Okay.
I'll show you.
All right.
So these are the rules of BMX and this track that I made up. I forgot about this. And this is how to take care of the track, shovel and patch it for major repairs, rake it, sweep it, water it, and then ride it as much as possible. A ridden track is much better than an unridden track. I totally forgot about this, man.
Well, you have a legacy here, Alden.
I forgot. It's just easy to forget. Wow. I got to tell you, it still looks like a fun track. I got half a mind to rake this thing once it dries out in a month and come out here and ride it, man.
You're always welcome to come back and work on the track, Alden. You're always welcome.
So what you're saying is free labor is always welcome?
Absolutely.
Free labor is always welcome at summer camps.
Yes, that's right.
All right, let's go see if we can find one more bike.
All right.
Come on.
Well, here they are. I don't know what they look like, Alden.
Well, they had a twin stabilizer bar rear end. These are cool bikes. This looks like SE Racing. All these are SE. What is this? It's another SE Racing right there. Oh, you got a red line. And what is this bike? Oh, it's a Trek. It's a Trek with an interesting frame, but not a Homestead. This is it, huh?
That's all we have. Well, there might be one at the warehouse if you want to go check there. So here where the bikes are, they're up there in the rafters.
Oh, wouldn't it be awesome if there's just one, even just one? Wouldn't that be awesome? This is it, huh?
Yeah, this is all the bikes we have.
Well, you had me going there. I thought we might find one back here. Man, it would have been awesome to find one, but it's still fun to come back here. Even the ones that are here bring back memories. What's up, man?
What's going on, brother?
No way.
How you been?
Dude, I've been good. So how many years has it been?
I was trying to think about it. I think it's been 28.
Oh my gosh, 28?
Well, since we met.
So would
last time we rode, you had just gotten the bikes out of the shop. You'd only got about half of what you were getting.
Yeah.
But I think you were only about 25 in.
Did I bring you the bike? Do you remember?
You brought me one, and then you had the black one still in the trunk, and we dropped by DJ's house, and DJ's like, I want one too.
Ooh, nice. Oh man, I remember that color. There was only a couple of that color, man. You got a rare one. So what number is this one?
25.
25. 25, Mark Wilson. Do you remember the first time you heard I was starting a bike company?
Yeah, camp.
Yeah.
We had talked and, of course, riding, and you had talked about the Homestead Bicycle Company and your dream.
Yeah.
And, of course, we were proud and excited for you.
What was it like owning a Homestead bicycle and actually riding it around every day and being on a unique bike?
You're one of, at the time, was going to be 50, and everybody'd stop you. Of course, that was the hardest part about riding, because you didn't want to be stopped. You wanted to go ride. You wanted to go jump. You wanted to go have fun. Kids were always asking where they could get a Homestead, but I didn't want to divulge my information. You know, I was one of two guys in the town that had a Homestead. DJ and I still talk about Homestead, you know, because it was all part of our life.
To think that something that I did mattered, that I assumed was a failure,
and it mattered to people back then, is already empowering and extremely redemptive and fulfilling. I never thought I would be revisiting Homestead Bicycles.
DJ, hey, you still got your Homestead? Why don't you bring it by? I got a guy here interested in it.
Dude.
Number 11.
Number 11! Awesome. You can be totally honest, but you felt that it was a little tighter out of the gate with the way the rear triangle was designed.
I remember my Homestead got me through the gate and got me out in front of the pack.
Thanks for keeping it, man. Oh. Thanks for keeping it in good shape.
Right on.
Still rocking the V-dub, man.
Yep.
I made an impression. Dude,
Hi,
Brad
Alden.
Hodges, what's up, man?
How are you?
It's been a long time, I'm good.
Well, let's go into my shop, I'll show you around.
I can't believe you got your own welding shop, man. So you do still have the Homestead?
Yes, I do.
Nice.
Part of my BMX collection, and I posted a photo of it to BMX Museum a couple years back, and somebody contacted me and offered me a ton of money for it.
No way.
Strictly over the factory Foster paint, and then he said that it's a very rare Cyclecraft item, and I guess that some of the Cyclecraft owners remember your production run of those bikes, and so they are a sought-after Cyclecraft product as well as a very rare BMX product alone.
You're telling me that online with BMX Museum, there's this whole community that knows that Cyclecraft welded Homesteads and that they're valuable as like a weird Cyclecraft offshoot or something.
Exactly.
I questioned myself so much back then, and now I realize, you know what? My instincts weren't crazy. I created a cool product that a certain, not everybody, but the people that liked it, really liked it.
It's in good company. Wow. Oh, I forgot you had the bash guard on it. Nice.
And the forks.
I totally forgot. Oh yeah, the forks. Sorry. Wow, dude. Nice job, Brad. Nice job. Look at that original factory Foster paint job from Brian Foster. Number 16. Oh, most of the people say that they like the twin tubes because they stabilize the rear end for racing, but why did you like the frame?
So it supported the rear end for the bash guard.
Nice, man. Hey, I don't care why. Why? And just be honest. Tell me why you liked the frame when you were riding it.
I wanted something that felt like a race bike that I could also ride as a street bike, and the Homestead met all those criteria.
Why have you kept the Homestead all these years?
Well, it's a weird green bike. It's limited production. It's sort of sought after, and I just remember that it being a good time in my life and it having a lot of good memories, and sort of like, if you will, that was the bike that was like the end of my innocence.
What I created with Homestead Bicycles was a unique vibe and feeling about an inanimate object. I think I created something more than I realized at the time.
This was an epic trip, and reconnecting with these old friends was amazing. But the truth was, I was running out of funds, and hey, I had to face it. I needed a job. Good news. I'm gonna be selling water. It's a refillable water bottle, kind of starting at the bottom, but I think it's a good opportunity. Best part about it, off the couch. I got a cool apartment and things are looking up. Another job, just a means to an end. But I was happy to have it, glad to do some work and come home at the end of the day tired. I think it was because I finally had a clear purpose again. Figuring out what kind of person I was at 19 and what I'd created was addicting. But what I really wondered was, would I find any more bikes? I'm about to call Joe Martino of Cyclecraft in Tennessee. I'm actually pretty nervous. Enough time has passed. I'm hoping that Joe will let me know what really happened, man. What happened to my bikes? Why'd you let me down for that final batch of bikes that I paid for? I actually found my receipt for 50 bikes that I paid, and it's got a phone number here. Let's do it. I have a sneaking suspicion that there's 20 more bikes, and they're hidden in eastern Tennessee. I learned from a local bike shop that some of the 80s BMX riders I grew up following still rode down at Huntington Beach, doing tricks and hanging out. Eddie the King Fiola and Martin Aparijo, they called him the chairman. I couldn't believe I found these guys, and they're still doing it. They were plastered all over my walls on the pages of BMX Plus and BMX Action. And of course they rode in Rad, the best movie ever about BMX. I had to pinch myself when I saw them on bikes I used to ride, doing tricks I used to do.
So you guys still come out here and ride?
Yeah, you know, we used to come out here underneath that pier back in 1985 and throw out a hat and make some money, and we just had fun doing it. And now we're out here, you know, at 850-ish. We're kind of like that movie Tag, where we didn't end the game, we're still playing it, and we're not getting old, so.
Nice, man. Well, my name's Alden.
Eddie Fiola.
Eddie Fiola, nice to meet you.
Wow. It's a prototype, so it's got no name on it right now.
So, so how did you invent, how many tricks did you invent? Like 27 or something?
Yeah, probably more than that, but there was like 13 initial tricks, like the cherry pick of the lawnmower, the backwards long slider, and all those tricks that led to variations of those tricks.
Right.
So yeah, all the foundational tricks back in the day.
Like, I have to do the tricks that only you invented. I guess I wanted to see if I still had it, if I still fit into this world I had walked away from. All of a sudden, this swarm of wheelie bikers showed up at the pier and took over. This was too much. Martin and Eddie, and now Todd and the SC guys. This journey was pulling me deeper into BMX than I ever could have imagined. After months of trying, I finally nailed down freestyle guru Bob Haro. Would he remember me or the letter? Or our conversation about cyclecraft? I was just stoked to finally meet my mentor and graphic design hero.
What's happening?
Wow.
Alden?
Bob Haro.
Hey, buddy. Nice to see you.
Oh my
nice
goodness.
To meet you.
Just after all these years, so many logos, so many designs and pictures and photos, and yeah, I'm spinning a little bit. All right, well, I kind of can't believe the things I've saved in my life, but apparently I did save this letter that you wrote back to me. I don't know if you remember that.
To go back and look at this and because it's my writing and all of my typos, because like I told you, I'm good at putting typos in everything. But yeah, it's cool that you saved this, and I'm flattered. Thank you very much.
I was thinking about dropping out. I wasn't sure what to do about a bike company, but I thought if there's one place I know where to start, it's my BMX hero, and that's Bob Haro.
A lot of what I did, and I continue to do that, is to try to help other people, because when I was young, people helped me.
Well, since this did start with a conversation and a letter, it's kind of cool to see what came from it, and that is my frame.
I remember seeing them. I don't remember seeing one in real life.
Right.
That's
well, there were
awesome.
only 30.
Yeah.
So,
what number is this one?
This is number 1.
So tell me your logic behind these, the stabilizers.
I don't know if it's placebo in my mind, but it felt stiffer. For a racing frame, it definitely did the trick. If I decide to dive back into Homestead Bicycles and relaunch this company, is there any advice you can give me?
If it's something you want to do and you've got the energy, and you can do it. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be 500 bikes. It can be a small quantity, and you get that to market, and maybe that closes a chapter in one of your aspirations.
Okay, that was crazy. I was dying for some time to chew on Bob's words, and I was about to get it. No sooner had I got back from meeting Bob that I got laid off from the bottled water job. I didn't have time to get bummed out though, because a BMX collector in the Bay Area had just confirmed he had a Homestead. Wow, Darren?
Hey, Alden.
What's up,
nice
man?
to meet you after all those texts.
I know. Texts and random.
And after giving me all the excuses why I couldn't dig out your frame. I put it together and I wanted to get the NorCal flavor with the Boss and the VG.
And look at this VG. I have not seen these for so long. Dude, I was starting to think I wasn't going to find any more, really.
There's nothing like the true old school stuff made in the 90s or 80s. You can always copy the older designs and stuff, but you know, it's not the real original thing, just like this frame right here.
All right, well, Darren, you're in the book, man.
Okay, thanks, man.
021, Darren Chan. Those dropouts look familiar, like Cyclecraft dropouts, but that's not a Cyclecraft.
No, that's not a Cyclecraft. That's actually a block frame. There's a guy by the name of Rich Bartlett. He had some frames made and had that wishbone design.
That name Rich Bartlett does sound familiar from the late 80s, early 90s. B93.
Yeah, I heard there was only like 100 of them.
Oh, wow, XLX, yeah. That does, you know what, that does sound familiar. Block. Rich and I both had bikes welded by Cyclecraft, both in the early 90s. Maybe Rich could shed some light on what happened with Joe Martino. Maybe even lead me to the missing 20 bikes. Wow, Rich. Man. Dude, after all these years.
Good to
how
see
you
you.
doing, man?
Great, awesome.
Sheesh, this is what an awesome property you got.
Yeah, I lucked out.
You got jumps front and back, looks
Yeah,
like.
the lifestyle. When I left the Martinos, I was done with Cyclecraft. When I moved out of the house, I was no longer wearing Cyclecraft stuff from that point on. Cyclecraft was their hobby. It had nothing to do with making money. Betty was kind of over it. They'd been, doing over a decade of being #1 team and that kind of thing. Terry Shaughnessy from Florida assumed the brand because he'd been on the team since as long as it was, and he took all of Cyclecraft down to Florida.
So while I'm waiting for more frames, wondering what I'm gonna do, I'm driving around the western US, going to ABA races. I had a sponsored rider, a kid. The company, meanwhile, moved to Daytona Beach. Yeah. I never know about it. And then I call them 2 years later. No wonder they didn't know what I was talking about with 20 extra frames.
And he wouldn't have assumed your liability.
So Terry's got to know more, though. He's got to know at least what he bought.
Yeah.
All these years, the past is different than I thought. Man, that's bizarre. I guess it's clear I gotta go to Daytona Beach and find Shag. I had to finish this journey, so I packed up and headed to Daytona Beach to track down Shag and get to the bottom of this once and for all. But first, I had one last bike lead to follow up on, just outside of Oklahoma City. I'm tracking down this mystery bike that I never thought I'd find. This is the first bike that was posted on this BMX forum website that got this whole movie started, this whole project of tracking down these bikes. This guy's name is Derek. It looks like a Homestead, but there's no serial number. Derek.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you.
This is Harper.
Hi, Harper. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Meet the camera.
Say hi.
Hi. This is truly a treasure hunt. Oh my gosh. No way. I mean, look at this. This is what got me on the BMX website. These, I think, are pretty much your Cyclecraft dropouts. This is bizarre, dude. You have like the most rare Homestead, aside of not having a Brian Foster paint job. That mystery frame was truly bizarre. And what exactly it was, I still didn't know. It was a 2-day drive to Daytona Beach, plenty of time for me to digest everything I'd learned on this journey, who I'd met and the bikes I'd found. I was hoping Shag would have some answers.
Derek?
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, Terry Shaughnessy.
Shag, I guess, huh?
Yeah, just call me Shag.
Cyclecraft has moved to Florida. I mean, this is basically like Alden thinks his bikes are in Tennessee and Cyclecraft has moved to Florida. Right. And we got the proof. We got the proof right here.
We came to Florida in 91, in September 91, end of September. So your timeline must have been close. You must have just built them right before I went over and took over, I guess.
So Joe never mentioned anything about, hey, you're buying Cyclecraft, and by the way, we got this guy in California we got to make some frames for?
I never heard about us making your bikes or, carrying it over, because we would have made them. So I didn't think nothing about it. And now that you only got 30 or 50, I'm like, wow, that could be Joe.
Yeah. That was when I folded Homestead Bicycles, and all this time I assumed it was something I did wrong, or I failed, or I didn't do a business plan, or now it seems like I just got the shaft. So why did Joe not just tell me, hey, give Shag a call?
I don't know. That's something you're gonna have to find out from Joe.
And I don't know what I would say to him, honestly. At the time, I was just so disappointed that I felt like here's another thing in my life that I put effort towards, and here we go again. It's just not gonna quite work out. I'm not gonna quite be normal. I'm not gonna quite have a normal bike company. And I had a shot, man. People liked my bikes. Do you have Joe's number? Does he live in the same, I don't know, live in the same house?
As far as I know, still in Kingsport, Tennessee.
I don't really know if I'm going to see Joe or if I'm going to see what that 19-year-old kid was thinking. But maybe I'm wondering what I'll find when I go back to my past. Hello? Tell you one thing, that's not the house that I stayed at 25 years ago. So I might have to do some searching around Kingsport and see if we can find Joe. Even though I know Cyclecraft isn't welded here, I think we should start at the old factory. So this is Shipley Ferry Road, Kingsport, Tennessee. Yeah, this is it. This is the address. This is where Cyclecraft frames were welded. I guess until, what did Terry say, 91? And Homestead Bicycles were made right here. We gotta try to find Joe. Someone's gotta know where the heck he is. I drove around Kingsport trying to remember what Joe's house looked like, but it was impossible. Out of total desperation, I saw these ladies sipping lemonade on their front porch, and I took a chance. Hello. This might be kind of weird, but I want to know if I could ask you a couple questions about someone in your neighborhood.
Sure.
And the name was Joe Martino. Does that name sound familiar? Do you?
Yes, that name does sound familiar.
It does? No way. I see two ladies sipping lemonade on the porch in East Tennessee, and they know right where the Martinos lived.
Hello?
Hello, is this Joe Martino?
You're looking for my dad, I think.
I'm just wondering if I can talk to Joe. Yeah, Joe Sr., I guess. I'm outside at your gate. Do you mind if I come in and say hi?
Yeah, hang on a second.
Dude, we got it. All this way. And I found it 3,800 miles all across the country. And Joe's son is coming out to open the gate for us. He might not live here, but we got him.
You up for some company? No, are you up for some company? Okay. Be just about 2 or 3 minutes.
Hey, Joe.
Hey.
How you doing, man?
I'm good.
You remember me?
Not really.
Alden Olmsted.
I remember the last name.
That's good.
You from the West Coast?
Remember these frames that
Yeah.
you made back 30 years ago?
How many?
30 years ago, 28 years ago.
Wow. You didn't ride it much, did you?
Not that one. I rode the other ones. Yeah, I got the other one on my car. So I'm finally just decided to tell the story of this little bike company. And I've been tracking down as many of the bikes as I can. And I've tracked down 9 of them.
Really?
One of them in Oklahoma City on the way out here.
Well, they've been after cyclecrafts like that, too.
Yeah, and I just came from Shag in Daytona Beach.
You're kidding.
Yesterday. Just came from seeing Shag yesterday.
Weren't you from Washington State or?
Northern California.
Northern California. And you've come all this way?
To see you.
Shit.
What was happening at Cyclecraft right before I came along? So this is middle of 1990.
We were in a growth spurt. We were doing production for other companies. I don't know where you got our name, but when you called, I felt like here's a young kid that wants to fulfill a dream, and I invited you to come. And you came enthusiastically. Not many 19-year-olds. In fact, you're the only 19-year-old I know that came and asked to have something made. I had other 19-year-olds, but their daddies backed them. I think the timing was right for you, but it was wrong for us because of us getting out of the business, regrettably, and that might have hindered you some, I don't know.
So when Shag bought the company, were there any other commitments or bike companies that he was responsible for?
He bought Cyclecraft lock, stock, and barrel, except for my machinery. I know that you were just getting started about the time Shag bought us out. I don't know whether he chose not to make your stuff or not because he was getting somebody else to make it.
I've been pretty hard on myself about when the company didn't work out.
Why would you be hard on yourself?
I guess because, you know, when your dad leaves when you're a year old, you put a lot of burden on yourself, even if there's no reason for it.
How many of them were brave enough to take the first step? See, you did it. I think you might be beating yourself up a little bit. I don't know if you are, but on your bike production and manufacturing. But you did a dream very few ever do. If you planted a seed for someone by having a unique bike, you did what your intended purpose was. I mean, you had a success.
Yeah, maybe that's the first step for me to move on, is to stop thinking of it as a failure and realize it was a success.
Well, yeah, it's a learning experience for one.
Yeah.
In fact, there's some tubing, I think, still down there that was yours.
You're serious?
I'm serious. Never sold it, never shipped it to you, because it's 20-foot lengths, and the cost of shipping would have been more than what the tubing was worth.
And where's the tubing now?
It's down in my old barn.
Yep.
Top shelf, second shelf, and little on the third shelf.
That might be my 20 bikes right there.
It could be. Could be. You can walk over here and look a little closer if you want. That tubing up there is the beginning of Homestead bike frames.
This is not where I thought I'd find my 20 bikes. I could not believe the 20 bikes had been there all along, just sitting as raw steel tubes in a barn in eastern Tennessee. But now I had some bigger questions. What was I gonna do? I said I wanted my life to change, and I did feel a huge weight had been lifted. But what was I supposed to do with that? Maybe this was just about the journey, about finding myself, about forgiving that 19-year-old kid I was so hard on. I took a chance and called Brad, the welder up in Sacramento, and asked him if I could meet at his shop the next Saturday. Do you have time to build me a bike?
Always. Come on in.
All right.
You know, my entire life changed after I met you, because you came to my life at a very pivotal time. I was a young, impressionable 15-and-a-half-year-old kid who just wanted to build bikes, and like, you did it. You know, you were the guy that started the bike company and made it happen. And much like you talk about writing the letter to Bob Haro and like that kind of changing your existence and your path, I saw you do it. And so at that point in time, everything changed for me.
Watching the bike come together was surreal. It was the past, but it was now. It was another step deeper into this world. What I did know is that I just wanted to ride. I wanted a new old-style Homestead that I could ride with pride. I didn't care if I got back in the business. I didn't care about the future. I felt like a customer. I wanted the bike that all these people were talking about so positively. I wanted one for me. I was shocked at how quickly I felt at home again. This was my community. They didn't go anywhere, I did. These were my people, but they were more than that. They were family. And to think the strangest meeting of all was meeting myself, my 19-year-old self. I'm no Freudian scholar, but after what I just went through, I'd say it's pretty important once in a while to check in with that dude. That person you were. That kid who didn't even blink at risk, who laughed at failure. That kid was confident, enthusiastic, creative, relentless. And going forward, wherever this life takes me, I have to remember, that kid was me.
Alden Olmsted takes his bike off of the rack, and little children ride around in cul-de-sacs. As summer days start growing long, Alden Olmsted hums this song. They say someday it's gonna be. Just hold on to your dream and sell me another t-shirt from the back of your car. And I like your dirty jeans, but why can't you get a job and leave all these silly dreams for another day and another time? Alden Olmsted puts his bike back on the rack. He's seen the future and he knows there's no take-backs. As autumn leaves begin to fall, cracked windshield he still recalls how they'd say someday it's gonna be. Just hold on to your dreams and sell me another t-shirt from the back of your car. But he'd say, I hate these dirty jeans and I hate broken dreams. And why does it always seem like my wheels keep spinning, but I am standing still? never see just how much you really mean till it's all been said and it's all been done. And sometimes you'll never know, and sometimes you'll never see just how much you really mean till it's all been said and it's all been done. Alden Olmsted puts his bike back off the rack, and little children still ride round in cul-de-sacs. Dink, I can't remember that part, I'm sorry. I'll figure it out.